So speaking of going viral, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you've been paying attention to social media lately, the whole this whole thing with the Cash Me Outside girl,
Okay.
she has
Yeah.
like at this point I believe like 6.7 or 7 million flat followers on IG.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think going viral is like the biggest thing a comedian could do at this point?
It's huge. Going viral is huge. It's what helped Country Wayne get to where he was at. He just performed this last couple weeks. Like that dude, his whole situation changed just from being on the internet, being a dude who's doing stuff and getting all these likes to all of a sudden he's in real clubs, selling out real theaters, and people are paying real money and not just looking at you for free on Instagram no more. They're actually paying money to see you do what you do. And it's the truth that going viral can change it for a lot of people. It's helped a lot of people.
But do you think is a I'm saying but right? But do you think there's a difference between I guess being on Instagram or being on Vine, RP Vine, and being on stage? Like, do you think it's a good crossover between, I guess, being a viral sensation versus, actually doing stand up?
I think that the two of those things, like you can be both. You could be someone who's really good online and then become someone who's good on stage. It's just there's two different muscles that you're working out. Because on the internet, everything is fast and everything is get to the punchline as fast as you can. You got to be bigger, louder, everything because you got to get people's attention and that's what's going to stick. On stage, you talk about you got to do 45 minutes, you got to do an hour. You can't be big and like this for an hour. That's real hard. All of a sudden, you got to know, you got to know your moves. You got to know your steps and all that stuff. So you can do one and then do the other. You just got to work on that transition from one to the other. If you're going to go from Instagram to stand up, you got to work hard on becoming a good stand up because it's not just going to translate immediately. You got to like work hard to learn how to stretch your time out.
So you spoke about just now working to be a better stand up.
Mm-hmm.
One thing I always notice in the media, I'm a Kevin Hart fan, right?
Mm-hmm.
But one thing I always notice is that a lot of other comedians don't always want to give him the respect I would think he deserves. Like they wouldn't want to say he has the top spot and I guess because of the fact that some of them feel like he has a team behind him.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you feel about, I guess, comedians that use writers or that might, not necessarily be doing stand up on their own merit?
I mean, if you're not doing stand up on your own merit, that's weird. That's bad. That's like when you're a rapper and you don't actually rap and you don't write. You know what I'm saying? Like there's some rappers who don't rap and they don't write. That's crazy. If you can rap your ass off, but you work with people and you collab on ideas is one thing. Now, as far as stand up goes, to have those people around you and all that, what I would imagine happens is people bounce an idea off of each other all day, and it's the artist, it's the stand-up comic's job to figure out what's the best word. Like you may talk to people about birth control and you just going around the room talking about birth control, but because you're the stand-up, you need to know what is actually really funny about birth control and then help people and have people help you figure out how to say what's funny about birth control and not just look at the room and be like, what can I talk about, guys?
I mean, but that'll be the same with rap. You know what I mean? If I can't figure out the punchline and we're all in the room and I'm like, hey guys, we need this punchline, and somebody comes up with it. So I guess if you're a comedian and you're working with a group of people, is it fair to say that you're the funniest person or you're the funniest person? Where technically, you're working.
Comics give each other tags and punchlines all the time because the way it starts off is that it always starts as a conversation. It's an asshole move if you just come up to people immediately like trying to talk about jokes. But if you come up to people talking about your ideas and your thoughts, like how you actually feel about something, and then it turns into something funny, that's when it's your job as a comic to translate what was funny in that conversation into being on stage funny. So like if a comedian is going to talk and all this stuff with each other, they need to be talking about the life of what it is they're talking about, not just like the technique. Because they could do the technique thing, but you need to actually chew on the ideas. And then you say it the way you think it would be funniest to say.
And one thing I also noticed, right, is that a lot of times, like I told you, I met Sean before, and a lot of times, a lot of comedians, they don't like to put out a lot of content out of fear that somebody might walk away with this joke.
Yeah.
So what's your opinion on, like, I guess comedians who actually might go and find some local comic in Milwaukee and then come to Miami, Florida and use that same joke.
That's why you have comics who call each other out a lot. Comedians are one of the people that love calling each other out on who's stealing jokes and who's doing that. So what ends up happening is you as a performer is then your job, because you can't stop people from coming to your shows and doing your jokes. You literally can't stop them. Like, even if someone doesn't record you, they could watch you and then remember what you said and then just say it somewhere else. You can't literally stop that from happening. What ends up happening is anytime you feel like, this is what I personally do, anytime I feel like someone says something that's similar to me, I go back to my joke and I gotta go deeper. Like, if we both gonna talk about that trash can, you gonna talk about that trash can a certain way, I need to go further than you would about the trash can so I can feel confident in what I'm saying, so that I know can't nobody buy my shit because I went deeper than they could. So if I hear it again, and that's what it is, you just gotta keep pushing yourself.
You're gonna personalize it.
Yeah, you gotta personalize it and keep pushing yourself to go, what does it mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the biggest thing behind comedy, is people need to figure out what does it mean, what they're saying. As soon as you figure out what you mean, you can go further. Well, what does that mean? What is that? And then that's your comedy getting longer and longer, but the joke is getting deeper and funnier.